Captain Tae-sung stood on the bridge of the human ship called Horizon's Edge. Through the main window, he could see the massive alien station floating in space. It belonged to the Valthene Collective, a powerful group that controlled this part of the galaxy. The station looked like a giant crystal flower, beautiful and cold. Tae-sung had been traveling through space for 15 years. He had met many alien species. Most of them looked down on humans. They thought Earth was a dangerous, primitive place. They called it a Class 7 death world in their records, but they did not really understand what that meant. "Sir, we're getting the docking permission now," said Daewon from her station. She was the communications officer, young but very good at her job. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls. "Good. Let's keep this simple and friendly," Tae-sung replied. He straightened his uniform. Behind him, Engineer Woo Jin checked his data pad nervously. Medical Officer Hye Jin stood calm and ready, her dark eyes watching everything. The Horizon's Edge docked with the station smoothly. Tae-sung led his team of 14 people through the airlock. The Valthene station was cold inside. Everything was made of some kind of crystal material that glowed with soft blue light. The air smelled strange, like metal and flowers mixed together. Commander Prex Lun waited for them in a large meeting room. He was a Valthene, which meant he looked like a walking pile of crystals shaped roughly like a person. His body reflected light in rainbow colors. When he spoke, his voice sounded like wind chimes. "Welcome, humans," Prex Lun said. His tone was polite but cold. "Shall we discuss the trade agreement?" The meeting did not go well. The Valthene wanted to buy resources from human colonies, but they offered very little in return. They wanted humans to mine dangerous asteroids and bring rare metals to Valthene worlds. In exchange, they offered old technology that humans had already invented themselves. "This is not fair," Tae-sung said calmly. "We need better terms." Prex Lun's crystal body flashed with red light. "You are new to this galaxy. You should be grateful we offer anything at all. Your species is barely worthy of our attention." Woo Jin shifted uncomfortably. Hye Jin's jaw tightened, but she stayed quiet. Tae-sung kept his voice level and professional. "We will need to discuss this with Earth Command," he said. "We cannot accept these terms." That was when everything went wrong. Prex Lun made a sound like breaking glass. Suddenly, 20 Valthene guards appeared from hidden doors. They carried weapons that glowed with purple energy. "You will not leave," Prex Lun announced. "You will stay here until your Earth Command agrees to our terms. Consider yourselves our guests." "Guests?" Hye Jin said sharply. "You mean prisoners? Call it what you wish," Prex Lun replied. "Your choice is simple. Accept our offer or stay here forever." The Valthene guards took all 14 humans to a detention area. The cells were small but not uncomfortable. Tae-sung sat on the hard bench and closed his eyes. Woo Jin paced back and forth like a caged animal. "They can't do this," Woo Jin said angrily. "This is against every galactic law." "They just did it," Hye Jin replied. She examined the cell door carefully. "And they think they'll get away with it because we're weak." Tae-sung smiled slightly, but there was no humor in it. They have no idea what they just did. Back on Earth, deep in the military command center, Admiral Ji-won received the emergency message. She was 62 years old with silver hair and sharp eyes that had seen too much war. She read the message 3 times. Her hands started to shake, but not from fear, from anger. For 30 years, Ji-won had led Earth's defense fleet. For 30 years, she had followed the strict rules. She had kept Earth's true military power hidden. She had ordered her captains to be polite and careful. She had made humanity look weak on purpose because that was the smart thing to do in a galaxy full of powerful, ancient civilizations. But now someone had crossed a line that should never be crossed. They had taken human people. They had taken her people. Ji-won stood up and walked to the secure terminal. She entered her command codes. The screen turned red and asked her to confirm. She confirmed. The message that appeared made her heart beat faster. Protocol Apex. All restrictions removed. Authorization required. She pressed her thumb to the scanner. The computer verified her identity. Then she spoke clearly into the microphone. "This is Admiral Ji-won, Earth Defense Fleet Commander. I authorize Protocol Apex effective immediately. All ships are weapons-free. All combat restrictions are lifted. Total warfare authorization granted. Reason: hostile force has taken human personnel. We are going to get them back." Around Earth, on Mars, on the Moon, and on dozens of military stations, alarms began to sound. Captains and crew members looked at their orders with wide eyes. Some of them had been in service for 20 years and had never seen these orders. Some of them were young and did not understand what was happening, but the older officers understood. They had trained for this day. They had hoped it would never come. Now it was here. Dai-Yun, still aboard the Horizon's Edge, which was still docked with the Valthene station, managed to send one final message before the Valthene cut all communications. Her message was short and simple. It reached the Valthene command and was automatically broadcast on open channels for all species to hear. To the Valthene Collective, you are holding 14 human citizens against their will. This is an act of hostility. You have 12 hours to return them safely to our ship. If you do not comply, we will come for them. This is your only warning. The Valthene laughed when they heard the message. Prexlun played it for his officers, and they made sounds like breaking glass, which was how Valthene laughed. Humans were weak. Everyone knew this. Earth was far away. The Valthene had 73 warships in this system. They had a battle station that had never been defeated. They had shields and weapons that could destroy planets. What could the humans possibly do? 12 hours passed. The Valthene sent their response. They broadcasted across the same open channels, making sure everyone in this part of space could hear. We refuse the human demand. The prisoners will stay here until Earth Command accepts our terms. We are not afraid of the humans. Let them come if they dare. The transmission ended. Then there was silence. Deep, complete silence. Somewhere far away in the dark space between stars, 50 human warships changed course. They began moving toward the Valthene system. Their weapons were charging. Their crews were preparing. The Valthene had made their choice. They had made their final mistake. And now the Deathworlders were coming. Fleet Commander Hyunwoo sat in the command chair aboard the dreadnought called Eternal Vigil. The ship was massive, as large as a small city. For 10 years, it had pretended to be an exploration vessel. The galaxy thought it was just a science ship with some basic defense weapons. They were wrong. Hyunwoo looked at his orders on the secure screen. 3 words stood out, glowing in red letters. Weapons-free total warfare authorization. His chest felt tight. He had trained for this moment, but he had hoped it would never come. All hands, this is the commander. He spoke into the ship-wide communication system. His voice was calm and steady. We have received authorization for Protocol Apex. Our people have been taken. We are going to get them back. All departments begin combat transformation. This is not a drill. Throughout the ship, things started to change. In the engineering deck, Kite watched his screens with amazement. He was the weapons engineer, and he knew every system on this ship. But even he felt excited seeing everything activate at once. Hidden panels in the hull began to slide open. Massive railgun batteries emerged from spaces that had been disguised as cargo holds. Each railgun was designed to fire metal projectiles at incredible speeds, fast enough to cross the distance between planets in seconds. The projectiles were simple tungsten rods, but when they hit something at such high speed, they released more energy than nuclear bombs. Missile tubes opened along the ship's sides. Inside were fusion torpedoes, weapons so powerful they were illegal under normal galactic law. Each torpedo carried a small sun inside it, ready to explode with star-like fury. The main weapon was the most impressive. A kinetic accelerator ran through the entire length of the ship, more than 2 kilometers long. It could launch projectiles at 40% of light speed. Nothing in the known galaxy had shields strong enough to stop that. All weapons online, Kite reported. His hands were shaking slightly from adrenaline. Railguns charged. Torpedo systems ready. Main accelerator at full power. Sir, we are ready for combat. Similar transformations were happening on 49 other ships throughout the fleet. Cruisers that looked peaceful revealed hidden armor plates. Frigates that seemed small opened bays full of fighter craft. Transport ships that appeared to carry only cargo deployed electronic warfare systems that could blind entire fleets. Humanity had spent 30 years building these ships in secret. They had learned from Earth's history. They remembered what happened to civilizations that showed all their weapons before the fighting started, so they had hidden everything and waited. On the medical frigate called Mercy's End, biologist Mi-sun prepared the combat medical supplies. She worked in a clean white room filled with strange equipment. Mi-sun had studied human evolution for 20 years. She understood better than most what made humans different from other species in the galaxy. She filled syringes with combat stimulants. These were drugs that would push the human body to its absolute limits. Adrenaline boosters that would make reflexes faster. Pain suppressors that would let wounded soldiers keep fighting. Neural accelerators that would speed up thinking and reaction time. These would kill most alien species, her assistant said nervously. Even small doses, Misa nodded. Yes, but humans evolved differently. Our ancestors had to run for days to hunt animals. They had to fight predators with just rocks and sticks. They had to survive in every climate on Earth, from frozen ice to burning deserts. Our bodies learned to push past normal limits. These drugs just help us access what's already inside us. She thought about the research she had done. Humans were pursuit predators, pack hunters who could chase prey until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. Humans were toolmakers who turned everything into weapons. Humans were social creatures who worked together to kill things much larger and stronger than themselves. Other species in the galaxy had evolved on easier worlds. They had never needed to become apex predators. They had technology and civilization, but they had never been hunted. They had never been the hunters, that was their weakness, and they were about to learn it the hard way. Navigation Officer Sang-min plotted the course to the Valthene system. He was young, only 26, but he was the best navigator in the fleet. His fingers danced across the holographic display, creating a route that no alien tactician would expect. Sir, standard approach would be to jump directly to the system and announce our presence, Sang-min said to Commander Hyun-woo. That's what galactic warfare protocols say we should do. And what do you suggest? Hyun-woo asked. Sang-min smiled. It was not a nice smile. We come in from the star's shadow where their sensors can't see us properly. We use the radiation from their sun to hide our approach. We don't announce anything. We just appear and strike, Hyun-woo nodded slowly, like a wolf pack hunting deer. Exactly, sir. The order went out to all 50 ships. They would not follow the civilized rules of galactic warfare. Those rules were made by species who thought war was about honor and formal declarations. Humans knew better. War was about winning. War was about bringing your people home alive. The fleet entered faster than light travel. Inside each ship, the crews prepared themselves mentally. Many of them were second or third generation spaceborn, but they all carried the genetic memory of Earth. They all descended from survivors, from hunters, from people who had climbed to the top of the food chain through intelligence and determination. Commander Hyun-woo walked through the corridors of his ship. He saw the faces of his crew. They looked focused and ready. There was no fear in their eyes. Instead, there was something else, something that had been sleeping for 30 years while humanity played nice with the galaxy. He saw it in the way the Marines checked their weapons with practiced efficiency. He saw it in the way the pilots ran through their pre-flight checks with cold precision. He saw it in the way the engineers moved through the ship, making sure every system was perfect. They were not scared. They were angry. Someone had taken their people. Someone had made a threat, and now that threat would be answered. In her quarters, fighter pilot Yuna put on her flight suit. It was black with silver markings designed to absorb radar and visual scans. She had been flying for 8 years, always on patrol duty, always following the careful rules that kept human pilots looking average. Now the rules were gone. Now she could fly the way she had trained in the secret combat schools. Now she could be what she really was, a hunter in a metal bird. She touched the small photo attached to her console. It showed her family back on Earth, her mother, father, and little brother. They were safe because pilots like her kept them safe. And she would keep them safe by making sure the galaxy understood one simple truth: never threaten a human's pack. The fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Valthene system. They were far from the main planets, hiding in the vast darkness of space. To the Valthene sensors, they were just small contacts, probably asteroids or space debris. The Valthene had no idea that death was coming for them. They had 12 hours to prevent this. They had chosen not to. Now they would learn what happened when you pushed a predator into a corner. Commander Hyun-woo looked at the tactical display. 73 Valthene warships, 1 massive battle station, orbital defense platforms, all of it between him and the humans who were being held prisoner. All ships, he said quietly into the communication system. Begin approach. Silent running, no active sensors, no communications. We are ghosts until we strike. The 50 human warships began moving deeper into the system, invisible and patient, like sharks in dark water. Like wolves in tall grass, the hunt had begun. The human fleet drifted through space like shadows. They were too far away for the Valthene sensors to detect properly. The star's radiation created a blind spot and the humans used it perfectly. They had studied the Valthene patrol patterns for months, learning their habits, understanding their routines. Tactical Officer Jin Ho sat at his station aboard the Eternal Vigil, watching data flow across multiple screens. He had been doing this job for 12 years, but always with restrictions, always having to hold back. Now, for the first time, he could use everything he had learned. Their patrol routes are predictable, Jin Ho said to Commander Hyun-woo. They follow the same paths every 6 hours. They rotate their ships on schedule. They've never been attacked, so they're confident. Too confident, Hyun-woo nodded. Show me their weakest points. Jin Ho highlighted several areas on the tactical map. Here, here, and here. These patrol groups are spread too thin. They're too far from support. If we hit them simultaneously, they won't have time to call for help or retreat. It was a strategy that would seem insane to most galactic military commanders. Attack multiple points at once? Spread your forces? That violated standard tactical doctrine. But humans had not learned warfare from textbooks. They had learned it from millions of years of hunting. A wolf pack does not attack prey head-on. They split up. They surround. They strike from multiple angles. They create confusion and fear. Scout pilot Yuna launched from the carrier ship in her stealth fighter. The fighter was small and painted absolute black. It was almost invisible against the darkness of space. 6 other scout pilots launched with her, spreading out in a wide formation. Yuna flew through the asteroid field at the edge of the system. Her fighter barely made any sound or energy signature. She moved between the floating rocks like a shadow. Every few kilometers, she deployed a small device. These were sensor disruptors, equipment that would create false readings and confuse enemy scanners. She also marked target coordinates. Every Valthene patrol ship, every defense platform, every communication relay. All of it went into the shared tactical network that connected all human forces. Targets marked, Yuna whispered into her communication system. Disruptors deployed. They have no idea we're here. Back on the Eternal Vigil, Communications Officer Dayun monitored all channels. She listened to Valthene communications, translating their crystal chime language through the computer. They were talking about normal things. Patrol reports, supply requests, crew rotations. They mentioned the human prisoners a few times, always with the same tone of dismissive superiority. They think we're weak, Daun said quietly. They actually believe we can't do anything. Weapons engineer Kitai checked his systems one more time. Every railgun was loaded. Every torpedo was armed. The main accelerator was charged and ready. He thought about the math of it all. The energy, the speed, the destruction. A tungsten rod weighing 50 tons moving at 40% of light speed carried kinetic energy equal to thousands of nuclear weapons. When it hit something, it did not explode. It simply transferred all that energy in an instant. The target would not just be destroyed. It would cease to exist. All weapons ready, Kaite reported. His voice was steady, but inside he felt a mix of excitement and fear. This was what the weapons were built for. This was the moment. Commander Hyun-woo stood and walked to the center of the bridge. Every officer was at their station. Every system was ready. The fleet was in position. 49 other commanders waited for his signal. Behind them were thousands of crew members, all trained, all ready. Hyun-woo thought about the 14 humans being held prisoner on the Valthene station. Captain Tae-sung, Engineer Woo-jin, Medical Officer Hyejin, 11 others. His people, Earth's people. Someone had taken them and expected Earth to just accept it. That would not happen. Not today. Not ever. All ships, Hyun-woo said into the fleet communication channel. Weapons free. Engage at will. Target priority. Destroy the outer patrols, then push to the battle station. Primary objective is recovering our people. Secondary objective is teaching the Valthene a lesson they will never forget. He paused, then added 2 more words. Words that came from ancient human hunting traditions. Words that meant everything. Pack tactics. The darkness of space erupted with violence. 18 Valthene patrol ships exploded in the first 4 seconds. They did not have time to activate shields or send warnings. The railgun projectiles hit them at speed so fast that the metal simply punched through everything. Hull, armor, reactor cores. The ships tore apart from the inside. The Valthine crews did not even understand what was happening. One moment they were on normal patrol. The next moment their ships were scrap metal and fire. More human ships appeared from different directions. They were not lined up in neat formations like galactic navies preferred. They were scattered, moving in small groups of 3 or 4 vessels. Pack formations. Each group was independent, able to make decisions and adapt quickly. Commander Prex Lun on the battle station stared at his tactical display in shock. Red warnings flashed everywhere. The display showed human ships coming from 6 different directions. When? They had appeared from nowhere. All ships combat formation, Prex Lun ordered. His crystal body flashed red with alarm. Activate battle station defenses. Send emergency signals to the council. But the humans were not fighting like the Valthine expected. They were not coming straight at the battle station. Instead, they were hunting the scattered patrol ships, destroying them one by one. It was systematic, efficient, brutal. 3 human destroyers caught a Valthine cruiser trying to retreat. The destroyers did not just destroy it. They disabled its engines first, leaving it drifting. Then they disabled its weapons. Then its communications. The cruiser was still intact but helpless, wounded. Other Valthine ships moved to help their damaged comrade. That was when the human destroyers vanished into the asteroid field, escaping before reinforcements arrived. Now the Valthine had to choose: leave their damaged ship behind or slow down to help it. Either choice made them weaker. Fighter pilot Yuna led her squadron in an attack on a Valthine weapons platform. The platform was large and powerful, but it was designed to fight big ships, not small, fast fighters. The Valthine tried to track the human fighters, but the fighters moved in patterns that seemed random, but were actually carefully coordinated. While the platform's weapons aimed at Yuna's fighter, her wingman Bora struck from below. While the platform turned to face Bora, 2 more fighters hit it from the sides. The platform's shields could not cover every direction at once. Human weapons found gaps and exploited them. The platform exploded in a ball of fire and twisted metal. Commander Hyunwoo watched the battle unfold on his tactical display. It was going better than expected. The Valthine were good fighters, but they were used to fighting in organized, traditional ways. They expected rules. They expected honor. They expected their opponents to fight fair. Humans had learned long ago that survival was more important than honor. Fair fights were for sports. War was about winning. Target that communications relay, Hyunwoo ordered, pointing at the screen. Cut off their coordination. Weapons Officer Kaite fired the main railgun. The tungsten rod crossed the distance in less than a second. The communications relay simply ceased to exist, shattered into atomic particles. Without communication, the Valthine ships had to make their own decisions. That made them slower to respond, slower to adapt. The human fleet moved like it had one mind, because every ship was connected through quantum-encrypted channels that the Valthine could not jam or intercept. The battle station activated its main weapon, a massive lance of antimatter energy that had destroyed rebel colonies in the past. The weapon charged, drawing enormous power from the station's reactors. It aimed at the Eternal Vigil. Torpedo specialist Sora watched the battle station through her targeting computer. She had been waiting for this moment. The instant the antimatter weapon started charging, she launched 16 torpedoes. These were not normal torpedoes. They were relativistic kill vehicles, small fusion engines with basic artificial intelligence guiding them. Each one accelerated to 10% of light speed. At that velocity, even a small object became a devastating weapon. The antimatter weapon was still charging when the first torpedo hit its power conduits. The second and third torpedoes struck the magnetic containment fields. The chain reaction was spectacular. The antimatter that was supposed to destroy the Eternal Vigil instead exploded inside the battle station itself. A quarter of the battle station tore apart. Metal, crystal, and fire spread into space. Thousands of Valthine crew members died in an instant. The station's artificial gravity failed. Emergency alarms screamed in every corridor. On the Eternal Vigil, the crew watched in silence. There was no celebration, no cheering. They were professionals doing a job. The job was not finished yet. Commander Prex Lun staggered in the command center, his crystal body cracked from the impact. Around him, other Valthine officers tried to restore control. But their beautiful, invincible battle station was crippled. Their fleet was being torn apart. And the humans kept coming, relentless and unstoppable. Inside the Valthene battle station, Captain Tae-sung felt the explosion shake the entire structure. He was still locked in the detention cell with the other human prisoners, but he knew what that explosion meant. Help had arrived. "That's ours," Engineer Wu Jin said, gripping the cell bars. His face showed hope and fierce satisfaction. "That's Earth Defense Fleet. I know those weapon signatures." Medical Officer Hye Jin was already examining the cell door. The explosion had damaged the station's power systems. The energy locks were flickering on and off. "Next big impact, this door will fail. Be ready." Tae-sung gathered the other 12 humans. "When we get out, we move fast and together. Stay in a group. Wu Jin, you know station layouts. Lead us to the shuttle bays. Hee-jin, you and I will handle any guards we meet." "Handle?" one of the younger crew members asked nervously. Hee-jin smiled, but it was not a warm smile. "I'm a medical officer. I know exactly where to hit someone to make them stop moving. Trust me." Another explosion rocked the station. The lights went out completely. Emergency power kicked in, bathing everything in red light. The cell door's energy field sputtered and died. "Now!" Tae-sung shouted. They ran into the corridor. It was chaos. Valthene crew members were rushing everywhere, trying to deal with the damage. Alarms blared. Crystal fragments fell from the ceiling. The artificial gravity kept fluctuating, making everyone stumble. A Valthene guard appeared, raising his energy weapon. Hye-jin moved faster. She had trained in combat medicine for years, which meant she knew human anatomy and alien anatomy equally well. She struck the guard at 3 specific points on his crystal body. He shattered like glass and collapsed. "Medical training," she said calmly. "Very useful." Wu Jin led them through corridors, following the emergency signs toward the shuttle bays. They could hear the sounds of battle outside the station. Explosions. Energy weapons firing. The deep rumble of railgun impacts. They reached the shuttle bay. 3 Valthene guards stood between them and the shuttles. The guards raised their weapons, crystal bodies flashing with aggressive red light. Tae-sung did not hesitate. He had been a soldier before becoming a diplomat. He had trained for years before they let him command a ship. He picked up a piece of metal debris from the floor and threw it at the nearest guard's optical sensors. The guard flinched. That 1 second of distraction was enough. Tae-sung crossed the distance and struck with precision. The other humans followed his lead, overwhelming the guards through sheer coordinated aggression. "Shuttle 3 is functional," Wu Jin called out, checking the control panels. "Everyone aboard now." They piled into the small shuttle. Wu Jin took the pilot seat and began the launch sequence. Hye-jin activated the emergency communication system and broadcast on all frequencies. "This is Medical Officer Hye-jin, human captive escaping the Valthene station. Broadcasting our vector now. Please do not shoot us. We're the good guys." The shuttle launched from the bay and accelerated away from the damaged station. Through the windows, the humans could see the battle in all its terrible glory. Human ships moved through space like hunting animals. They did not fight in straight lines or neat formations. They circled, they flanked, they struck from unexpected angles. Valthene ships tried to respond, but they were always 1 step behind. A Valthene destroyer attempted to intercept the human shuttle. Before it could fire, 3 human frigates appeared from different directions. They did not destroy the destroyer. They systematically took apart its weapons, its engines, its sensors. Within 30 seconds, the destroyer was helpless, drifting in space. "They're making a path for us," Tae-sung said quietly. He understood what he was seeing. The entire human fleet had adjusted their tactics to create a safe corridor for the escaping shuttle. "They came for us. All of this, they came for us." Outside, Commander Hyun-woo watched the shuttle on his tactical display. A small green icon representing 14 human lives. That icon was the reason for everything happening here today. "All ships, priority Alpha. Protect that shuttle. Nothing gets close to our people," Hyun-woo ordered. The human fleet shifted immediately. Ships that had been attacking the Valthene formations broke off and repositioned. They created a moving shield around the shuttle, a protective bubble of warships and firepower. Commander Prex Lun saw the human shuttle escaping. He saw how the entire human fleet reorganized just to protect it. These were not the actions of a military seeking victory. These were the actions of a pack protecting its members. He finally understood. The humans were not fighting for territory or resources or power. They were fighting because someone had taken their pack members. This was personal. This was primal. "All remaining ships, final defensive formation," Prex Lun ordered. His voice was tight with desperation. Protect the battle station. Send emergency calls to all Council forces. Tell them the humans are more dangerous than we thought. Tell them we need immediate reinforcement. The Valthian fleet, what remained of it, pulled back to form a defensive shell around the crippled battle station. 43 ships remained from the original 73. They were damaged, scared, but still fighting. The human fleet did not pause. They pressed forward with relentless, constant pressure. There was no mercy, no hesitation, no moment of rest. This was persistence hunting. This was the warfare of a species that had evolved to chase prey for days, until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. The Valthian could not rest, could not repair, could not retreat. The humans just kept coming. Weapons engineer Kite watched his ammunition counters. The Eternal Vigil had fired hundreds of railgun rounds. On a normal mission, they would have stopped to recharge and reload. But this was not a normal mission. Reroute all non-essential power to weapons, Kite ordered his team. Life support to minimum. Shields to minimum. Everything goes to the guns. It was insane by galactic military standards. Reducing shields during battle? Risking the crew's safety? But it was the human way. Calculated risk. Aggressive offense. Push forward no matter the cost. Across the human fleet, other ships made similar decisions. They were not trying to survive. They were trying to win. There was a difference. Fighter pilot Yuna led her squadron against a Valthian carrier. The carrier was huge, easily 10 times the size of her small fighter. It could launch dozens of defensive drones. Its armor was thick. Its shields were powerful, but Yuna had studied Earth's history. She knew how ancient human warriors had defeated enemies much larger than themselves. Patience, precision, find the weak point. Target their fighter launch bays. Yuna ordered her squadron. We don't need to destroy the carrier. We just need to stop it from launching more fighters. Her squadron attacked in coordinated waves. While Valthian defense turrets focused on one group of fighters, another group struck the launch bays. Explosions blossomed along the carrier's hull. Secondary detonations followed as fuel and munitions inside the bays ignited. The carrier was still intact, still floating, but it could not launch any more fighters. It was effectively removed from the battle without being destroyed. This was happening everywhere. The humans were not just destroying the Valthian fleet, they were dismantling it, taking it apart piece by piece, making it useless. The human shuttle reached the Eternal Vigil and docked safely. Captain Tae-sung and his crew stepped aboard their own ship again. The bridge crew cheered when they saw him. Commander Hyun-woo nodded with satisfaction. "Welcome back, Captain," Hyun-woo said simply. Tae-sung looked at the tactical display, seeing the battle still raging. "Thank you for coming for us. We're human," Hyun-woo replied. "We always come for our pack." Engineer Woo Jin was immediately escorted to the engineering section. Despite his ordeal, he refused to rest. He went straight to work, helping the engineering teams optimize power distribution and weapon efficiency. He was home and he was angry, and he was going to help make the Valthian pay for what they had done. Medical Officer Hyejin went to the medical bay and began helping prepare for casualties. But there were surprisingly few. The human ships were damaged, yes, but casualties were minimal. The Valthian had been expecting a traditional fleet battle. The humans had given them something completely different. Strategic Officer Dayun studied the Valthian communication patterns. She had been monitoring their transmissions throughout the battle. Now she noticed something important. "Commander, the Valthian are receiving orders from the battle station's central command deck," Dayun reported. "All tactical decisions are coming from there. Commander Prexlon is personally directing the defense." Hyun-woo understood immediately. In wolf packs, in lion prides, in human tribes, there was always an alpha. Remove the alpha, and the pack would break apart. "Target coordinates for the central command deck," Hyun-woo ordered. "Kite, load the main gun. Maximum penetration round." Kite's hands moved quickly. The main railgun, the massive weapon that ran through the entire ship, loaded a special tungsten rod. This one was longer, denser, designed specifically to punch through heavy armor. 6 other human dreadnoughts received the same targeting data. 7 ships, 7 main guns, 7 shots at the heart of the Valthian command structure. "Fire," Hyun-woo said quietly. 7 tungsten rods launched simultaneously, each moving at half the speed of light. They crossed the distance in less than a heartbeat. The first 6 tungsten rods hit the Valthian battle station in rapid sequence. Each impact created a massive explosion as kinetic energy converted to heat and force. The station's outer armor layers shattered. Defense shields overloaded and failed. Internal bulkheads collapsed. The seventh rod punched through all of it and struck the central command deck with perfect precision. Commander Prex Lun had one moment to understand what was happening. He saw the metal rod appear on his sensors, moving faster than anything should move. He saw the trajectory. He knew where it would hit. Then there was light, heat, and nothing. The command deck simply ceased to exist. The rod's kinetic energy released in an instant, vaporizing everything within 100 meters. Prex Lun and his entire command staff died before their crystal bodies could even register the impact. The Valthene fleet immediately fell into chaos. Without central command, individual ships did not know what to do. Some tried to retreat, some tried to regroup, some just stopped moving, waiting for orders that would never come. All Valthene ships, this is Commander Hyunwoo of the Earth Defense Fleet. Hyunwoo broadcast on all frequencies. His voice was calm but carried absolute authority. Your commander is dead. Your battle station is crippled. You have two choices: surrender immediately or be destroyed. You have 30 seconds to decide. 23 seconds later, the first Valthene ship broadcast a surrender signal, then another, then another. Within 2 minutes, every remaining Valthene ship had powered down its weapons and activated emergency beacons. The battle was over. The human fleet held position, weapons still charged but not firing. They had won, but there was no celebration on the bridges. This had not been a victory to be proud of. This had been a rescue mission that required extreme violence. Tactical Officer Jin Ho looked at the final casualty reports. 73 Valthene warships, 51 destroyed, 22 surrendered. The massive battle station, crippled and no longer a threat. Estimated Valthene casualties over 40,000 dead. Human casualties 47 wounded, 0 dead. 3 ships with moderate damage, all repairable. The numbers were shocking. This had not been a battle. This had been a massacre. The Valthene had been completely outmatched from the beginning, but they had never realized it until too late. Sir, we're receiving incoming vessels, Communications Officer Dayun announced. Multiple jump signatures. It's the Galactic Council Reinforcement Fleet. Commander Hyunwoo looked at the tactical display. 60 ships were arriving from faster-than-light travel. They were Council peacekeeping forces responding to the Valthene's emergency calls. But they were 8 hours late. The Council fleet stopped at the edge of the system, their sensors reading the scene. They saw the destroyed Valthene ships. They saw the crippled battle station. They saw the 50 human warships still in combat formation, still ready for more fighting. A transmission came through. It was Admiral Kreshvan, a Threxian who commanded the Council's military forces. His voice was careful, measured, showing none of the usual superiority that Council officers displayed toward humans. Human fleet, this is Admiral Kreshvan of the Galactic Council. We received emergency signals from this system. We came to provide assistance. It appears we are no longer needed. Hyunwoo let the silence stretch for a few seconds before responding. Admiral, the situation is resolved. The Valthene took human citizens prisoner and refused to release them. We came to get them back. We have recovered our people. The Valthene fleet has surrendered. We see that, Kreshvan said slowly. We also see that you have demonstrated combat capabilities far beyond what our records indicated. The Council will want to discuss this. The Council can discuss whatever they want, Hyunwoo replied. His tone was polite but firm. But understand this. We tried diplomacy first. We gave warnings. We followed protocols. The Valthene chose to ignore all of that. What happened here was their choice, not ours. Back on Earth, Admiral Ji-won watched the battle reports arrive. She sat in her command chair, feeling very tired but also vindicated. For 30 years, she had argued that humanity needed to keep some secrets. Other admirals had wanted to show off Earth's weapons, to intimidate potential enemies. Ji-won had disagreed. She believed that the best weapon was the one your enemy did not know you had. Let them underestimate you. Let them think you are weak. Then when they finally push too far, show them the truth. That strategy had worked perfectly. The galaxy had thought humans were barely capable of defending themselves. Now they knew better. Ji-won activated her communication system and broadcast on all diplomatic channels. Her message would reach every council member, every major civilization, every government in this part of the galaxy. This is Admiral G1, Commander of Earth Defense Fleet. I want to make something very clear to everyone listening. For 30 years, humanity has chosen peace. We limited our weapons. We softened our tactics. We tried to join your civilization as partners. Many of you saw this restraint as weakness. You were wrong. She paused, letting her words sink in. We are Deathworlders. We evolved on a planet that tried to kill us in every way possible. We survived ice ages that would have ended most species. We domesticated predators and made them our friends. We climbed from the bottom of our food chain to the top through intelligence, cooperation, and the will to never give up. Her voice grew harder. What you saw today was not us at full strength. This was not even close. This was just us coming to get our people back. We did not conquer. We did not colonize. We did not seek revenge beyond recovering what was ours. But make no mistake. If you threaten humans again, if you take our people again, we will respond the same way. Every single time the transmission ended, around the galaxy, billions of beings watched the recording. Some were frightened. Some were impressed. Some were angry. But all of them understood that humanity was not what they had believed. Biologist Mi-sun prepared her official report to the Galactic Science Council. It would become the most important document in modern xenobiology. In it, she explained human evolution in detail. She wrote about persistence hunting, how humans could run prey to exhaustion. She wrote about pack bonding, how humans formed fierce loyalty to their groups. She wrote about tool use, how humans turned everything into weapons. She wrote about endurance, how humans could function in extreme heat and cold that killed most species. She wrote about human psychology, the ability to plan complex strategies, the willingness to take calculated risks, the capacity for coordinated violence on massive scales. She wrote about human physiology, the ability to heal quickly, to adapt to different environments, to push past normal physical limits. Her conclusion was simple. Humans were apex predators who had learned to use technology. Every instinct, every behavior, every capability came from millions of years of surviving on one of the most dangerous planets in the known galaxy. Humans are not naturally peaceful, she wrote. They are naturally protective of their pack. The safest thing you can do with humans is be part of their pack. The most dangerous thing you can do is threaten that pack. Captain Tae-sung stood on the bridge of a new ship, watching the human fleet prepare to depart the Valthene system. He had been offered time to recover, but he refused. He wanted to get back to work immediately. Beside him, engineer Wu Jin checked the ship's systems while medical officer Hye Jin reviewed crew health reports. They were all back to their normal duties, but they would never forget what had happened. They had been taken prisoner. They had been threatened, and their entire species had responded with overwhelming force to get them back. Sir, the Council is broadcasting an emergency decree, Communications Officer Dayun reported. They're ordering all member species to return any human captives immediately. No negotiations, no delays. They're also declaring human space as autonomous territory. No Council jurisdiction. Tae-sung smiled slightly. That's a start. There's more, Daun continued. They've created a new threat classification in their database. Category, Apex Deathworld Species. Advisory, do not provoke. They've assigned this classification to humanity. Wu Jin laughed. Do not provoke. That's going to be our reputation now. Better than being seen as weak, Hye Jin said. The galaxy needs to understand what happens when you threaten humans. The human fleet left the Valthene system slowly, deliberately. They could have jumped to faster-than-light travel immediately, but they did not. They wanted to give the Council forces time to see them, to count their weapons, to understand what they had faced. The 50 warships moved in perfect formation, their hidden weapons still visible, their combat capabilities now public knowledge. It was a message written in metal and firepower. We are not your victims, we are not your subjects, and we will never be intimidated again. But as they reached the edge of the system, the ships began to change. Hidden panels closed. Weapons retracted. The warships transformed back into their peaceful disguises. By the time they jumped to faster-than-light travel, they looked like simple exploration and cargo vessels again. The predators were returning to their quiet disguise. But the galaxy would never forget what they really were. In bars and trading posts across dozens of worlds, a new saying began to spread among alien species. It was said in different languages with different words, but the meaning was always the